In the heart of the African savannah, under the burning sun and endless golden grasslands, a scene unfolded that would be remembered by every ranger who witnessed it. A lonely baby elephant, no more than a few months old, was wandering aimlessly near a dried-up watering hole, calling out with desperate cries that echoed across the plains. The calf's skin was dusty, his small trunk trembled with exhaustion, and his enormous ears flapped weakly as if trying to call for a mother who would never come. Days earlier, a brutal drought had swept across the region, separating countless animals from their herds. The calf's mother, a protective matriarch, had fought bravely against a pride of lions to save her baby, but she had not survived the battle. Since then, the calf had been alone, surviving on droplets of muddy water and whatever sparse vegetation he could find. The savannah, which once felt like home, now felt like an endless trap filled with eyes watching from the tall grass. As the sun dipped low and the shadows stretched long, the air filled with a new tension. Hungry lions, lean from days of hunger, had picked up the baby elephant's scent. They emerged from the brush, their golden coats blending with the setting sun, their amber eyes fixed on the helpless calf. There were 6 of them, 3 lionesses, 2 young males, and their leader, a scar-faced lion whose mane was dark and heavy. They moved in perfect silence, spreading out in a wide arc, cutting off every escape route. The baby elephant froze, his little feet trembling as he sensed danger. He raised his trunk and trumpeted, a weak but defiant sound that startled some birds from a nearby tree. The lions crept closer, their tails low, eyes locked on their prey. The leader gave a low growl, a signal. The lionesses began to circle tighter, their bodies rippling with muscle and hunger. The calf stumbled backward, bumping into a thorn bush, then turned and ran. His tiny legs kicked up dust, but he was no match for the predators who now gave chase. The ground shook with his desperate steps, and his cries pierced the air. He ran toward the open plain, where the last light of day painted the grass gold, but the lions were faster. One lioness lunged, her claws grazing his hind leg, drawing a small wound that bled into the dust. The baby elephant trumpeted again, the sound filled with pain and fear. He turned sharply, heading toward the riverbed ahead, though it was dry as bone. The lions surrounded him now, 1 in front, 2 on each side, and the scar-faced leader at the back, ready to strike. The calf swung his trunk wildly, dust and tears mixing on his wrinkled face. He was small, but the spirit of his mother seemed to live within him. She had taught him never to give up, even in the face of death. The lions hesitated for a moment. There was something haunting in the calf's stance, his eyes wide yet determined. But hunger won over hesitation. The leader let out a thunderous roar, and all at once, the pride attacked. In that instant, the air filled with chaos, dust rising, growls echoing, and the terrified cries of the elephant calf. But just as the lions began to close in, a deep rumble rolled through the ground. It wasn't thunder, the sky was clear. The rumble grew louder, closer, like the earth itself was waking. The lions paused, ears twitching. Then, from beyond the distant acacia trees, a sound unlike any other ripped through the savannah, a low, thundering trumpet that shook the air. The lions froze, and the calf lifted his head, eyes wide with disbelief. From the horizon came a herd of elephants, massive, gray, and majestic, their tusks gleaming in the fading light. They were led by an old matriarch, her ears spread wide and her trunk raised high in fury. The ground trembled as the herd charged forward, a storm of dust and power. The lions panicked, realizing what was coming. They scattered in all directions, tails tucked between their legs. The scar-faced lion tried to stand his ground for a moment, but the sight of the matriarch bearing down on him sent him fleeing. Within seconds, the pride vanished into the tall grass, leaving only silence and dust behind. The herd surrounded the baby elephant, forming a protective circle around him. The matriarch reached out with her trunk, gently touching the calf's head as if to say, "You are safe now." The baby elephant collapsed from exhaustion, falling to his knees. The matriarch let out a soft rumble, a motherly sound that vibrated through the air. The herd began to trumpet in unison, their voices echoing across the plains, a call of victory and reunion. It was as if the spirits of the savannah had orchestrated this moment, reminding all who witnessed it that nature could be cruel, but it also had its miracles. As night fell, the stars blanketed the sky, and the herd led the baby elephant away toward a hidden waterhole known only to them. The little one limped but followed closely beside the matriarch, who never let him out of her sight. For days, the calf stayed close to the herd, learning their ways, eating alongside them, drinking deeply for the first time in what felt like forever. Rangers who had been observing from a distance later reported the event with disbelief. They had seen the lions preparing for the kill but were left stunned by the sudden arrival of the herd. It was as if they had sensed the calf's distress from miles away. Some even believed the matriarch might have been a relative of the calf's late mother, answering an instinctual call to protect her kin. Over time, the calf grew stronger, his small tusks began to show, and his once fearful eyes now carried confidence. He would often play with the younger elephants, running through the grass and splashing water at them, while the older ones watched with affection. Yet every evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, the calf would look toward the distant plains where he had once been alone and trumpeted softly, perhaps in memory of his mother and the miracle that had saved his life. The pride of lions, meanwhile, never forgot the day they were driven off by the giants of the land. The scar-faced lion bore a scar across his shoulder from the matriarch's tusk, a reminder of the power they had challenged. He would often look toward the elephant herd with caution, choosing to hunt smaller prey instead. Months passed, and the savannah changed with the seasons. The drought gave way to rains, the rivers flowed again, and life returned in abundance. The once lonely baby elephant had become part of a family, nurtured by the same herd that had rescued him. One morning, as the herd moved toward a new grazing area, they encountered a familiar sight, a ranger's jeep parked nearby. The rangers watched in awe as the young elephant, now stronger and confident, walked straight toward the vehicle. He raised his trunk and touched the hood gently, as if thanking them for watching over him from afar. The ranger smiled, taking a deep breath of relief and wonder. "He remembers," one of them whispered. The elephants lingered for a while before moving on, disappearing into the vast golden sea of grass, leaving behind only footprints and the distant sound of trumpeting. The story of the lonely baby elephant spread across wildlife reserves and conservation circles, touching the hearts of millions. It became a reminder that even in the harshest corners of nature, hope could still rise. The image of that small calf, surrounded by lions yet saved by his kind, came to symbolize resilience and the bond that ties all living beings together. Years later, when the baby elephant had grown into a mighty bull with long tusks and a calm spirit, he would return to that same dried-up riverbed, now lush with grass. There, he would stand silently for a long time, gazing at the land that had once nearly claimed his life. He would rumble softly, as though paying respects to his mother and to the herd that had saved him. The wind would carry his deep, resonant call across the plains, echoing through the trees and the mountains beyond. It was the song of survival, of unity, and of gratitude. And somewhere in the distance, under the same endless sky, the descendants of the lions that once hunted him would pause and listen, reminded that even in the wild, where life and death dance so closely, compassion and strength can rewrite fate. The savannah moved on, as it always did, with life continuing its eternal rhythm, but the story of that lonely baby elephant, surrounded by lions yet saved by destiny, would forever remain a legend whispered by the winds of Africa, leaving everyone who heard it utterly speechless.